Welcome to the McGraw Hill interview series with members of our Learning Science Advisory Board. We're talking today about a multitude of issues, all of which are relevant to promote equity in higher education and to make sure that we understand what role learning science plays. I hope you enjoy them. So Ryan, thanks so much for joining us today. It's great to see you again, and we appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about some of the technological aspects around education as a learning science company that we are, and how we can look at adaptive technology and the critical issue around equity. And I know that you have done a lot of research around adaptive technology, and I know you've worked very closely with us with some of our own products, such as Alex and SmartBooks. We work through Connect in many of our titles. And for us, equity is critical to try and improve and to make sure that we do everything we can as a company to improve the possibilities of fully equitable access to all of our materials. Maybe you'd be kind enough to take us through some of the research you've done with your adaptive technology processes to help with equity across all student groups.
Sure. Thanks for having me. So I guess one of the first things I would just say is that adaptive technology can be a really powerful force for increasing equity because students have different needs, and as adaptive technology gets more sophisticated, it can do a better job at figuring out which students need more support and what kinds of support they need. That said, however, just because technology is adaptive doesn't mean that it's equitable. And I think there's a lot of work for the field as a whole to do to make our technologies equitable. One of the important steps is making sure that it works for everybody. And I've been pleased, in my partnership with McGraw Hill to see that there is a real emphasis on that kind of work. I think, for example, of the research studies with Alex in Jackson, Tennessee, that showed that Alex was working just as well for historically underrepresented students there as for kind of more well-represented students. And there's all too much adaptive learning technology that these issues aren't considered. So the more that we can move as a field to making sure that our technologies work for every learner and making sure that when we see they're not working as well, we can kind of adapt the algorithms, adapt the learning support to make them more effective. That's the key step to making technology that, goes beyond one size fits all, and even kind of current generations of adaptive learning that are doing a decent job to technology that's truly rebuilding equity and making opportunity equal for everybody in the learning situation.
That's great, Ryan. And it is all about working through all socioeconomic groups to make it as equal as we possibly can and helping everybody with their educational journey. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.